Welcome to Sovereign Mamas, the podcast sanctuary for visionary women who are building lives, businesses, and legacies in alignment with their feminine power. I'm your host, Julia Jörg, intuitive business coach, mama of two, and systems strategist for solo-led entrepreneurs. Here, we honor both your sacred role as a mama and your wild vision as a changemaker. Expect soul-aligned strategy, raw storytelling, behind the scenes, and powerful conversations that support you in scaling your business without sacrifice. If you're done choosing between success and sovereignty, you're home. Let's begin. Okay, welcome to another episode on the Sovereign Mamas podcast. Today we are together in a little bit of a special situation and constellation. I am here with ASHU, and we are talking today not necessarily about motherhood, because there is still also room for ASHU to explore this chapter in her life. Welcome, first of all. I'm excited to talk to you and have you on as a guest.
Thank you so much, Julia, for having me on as a guest. And yes, we will get into the motherhood bit because I like to explain to my clients that your business is like a spirit baby that came to you and you're nurturing it. So there will be that aspect of motherhood involved in there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But first of all, before we dive in, I'm so curious. You just jumped on and told me a lot has happened since we last connected. So what are the shifts? Because I think it's been only, oh, how many? Yeah. Oh, yes, 6 weeks. I look at the calendar when we first connected on Instagram threads, and you raised your hand. You said, "Hey, this sounds like me. I want to, contribute to," I think it was around the summit idea for the Summer and Mamas. And now we're here on the podcast doing this as a first step. What has shifted? What's new?
Well, I would say I have come back to myself. I keep shifting my niches. I've done this for a very long time where I was like, oh, this feels more appealing. Oh, this like these chapters of life. But I finally found that missing thread or the tying thread that brings it all together. So earlier I was constantly talking about things like feline energy and aspects of how to channel that cat inside of you. But it has always been about me supporting spiritual business owners, specifically women. And now it has come down. I was reminded of it while I'm working with my own coach. I was reminded that I'm here to help women. I kept branding myself as, oh, feline energy. I am a feline activator because that's what, like, my cat is messing around with the sofa right now. So that is what I really associated myself with. And that was a journey I was on for the past 1.5 years. I would say it brought me a lot of revenue for my business, a lot of success for my clients, that aspect of feline energy. But my coach was like, that is not what you're here to do. And I was like, what do you mean? And then she tells me that I'm here to help visionary women, specifically to like release all the things that they've been told about what a woman can do and rewrite that to create massive abundance, success, impact in their soul aligned way. So now we are coming back to, oh, feline energy is a part of it, but this is my core message and what I'm here to do. So that has shifted.
So yeah, and that's huge. Congratulations, for really recognizing and also taking the time and having the courage to shift and starting. It's not starting over new, as you already said, but it is a conversation that for the listeners can be really of great value, because especially when you become a mother, there's so much flexibility that you are required to bring to the table. Now you have a completely different schedule. The agendas absolutely change, and that is a representative for entrepreneurship as well. Like in business, how many times do we pivot because something else is required of us? Because, like in your case, there is this feeling it's not sitting quite right. And a lot of people keep going, they push, they don't pause, they are just saying it has to be because it has always been that way. And then as a result, they burn out, they quit at altogether, you know, they start something completely new and never really get down to their sole purpose. So, what is your secret to really owning this part and that journey so that you can say, it's something new, but I trust. Yes, you have a mentor, but then it comes to you to also taking action.
100%. So what's supporting me in this is because first I've shifted a lot of times, but the thing was, in my early stages of business, I did and channeled this journey to go and visit your past life and find your purpose of
Mhm.
from there. And in that, I had had a vision of like women who were being looked down upon and like just not great things happening to them. And I would not want to go in detail to that vision. But when I came after that journey, I was like, oh, I'm here for women. But I got lost in the frameworks and the viral threads and reels and hooks and formats and masterminds work and this work. So I got caught up in that I went away from the core message of you were here for women. So can we bring that back in? And when
Mhm.
this was showed by my mentor again, I was like, oh, I already knew that. I just didn't recognize it or acknowledge it. So
Mhm.
that acknowledgement and coming back to self, and this is the second point that really is supporting is my personal journey. A lot of entrepreneurs can really help other people with what they've personally gone through. I come from a background where women are married off very early. They're forced to sort of have children very early and then to just live their life like that. That's like their whole identity. That's how you live. There's nothing, if you are doing something outside, you are not going to be a good mom. That whole aspect is very ingrained from the place I come from. And I am defying all the rules that were created. So I was like, oh, I can help other women do the same. That you can be good at managing a family and a house and your work, all of them together. It doesn't have to be a sacrifice to have a good relationship and have a good business.
Yes, I love that, and that's obviously why I said come on onto this podcast because this is exactly our values and our mission here too, to debunk those myths that you only can have a business or a family. So many women go in entrepreneurship onto their entrepreneurial journey and they say, well, first I gotta do my career. I really want to fulfill this passion and this drive to create something for me. And then they wake up and say, oh, now it feels like I'm almost too old for having children, or I feel like I now have to pause my career and then do the children thing. And yes, so bringing it together and having more of those conversations around how you can actually do it, and that it is not a sacrifice, it's actually an enhancement. And kids are so wonderful. They like accelerate your ways, your productiveness. They amplify your values, your truths. It's pushing you more into this lane of get your shit together. Now people are watching little humans. Like there's eyes around you, right? Um, how so you work a lot with moms, and how do you feel? Uh, what's the main thing that especially moms talk about when it comes to running their business and their families?
Yes, so before I mentioned that when you said something like there are little humans looking after you, I had these visions flashing of my past clients. So when I'm working with clients who are moms, chances are almost 99% of the time that their children are here to help enhance their practice. Because I work with spiritual entrepreneurs, so they're doing like Reiki, they're doing healing, they're on this self development journey, and their children are there with messages. And the way the children talk is very unique. It's not how you would expect a child to talk because they are being born into these families of spiritually evolved women who want to accelerate their journey. So they have these contracts with these spirit babies who get born as their children, and then they're like, Oh, you taught me such an important lesson. Thank you for that. So it's like very helpful. It's a part of your self development. Just like you do a course, you invest in a mentor, you invest in a mastermind. Your children are also helping you improve yourself. That time you spend with them is also you working on yourself and your business. It's not that you shut it off. That, oh, I'm working on my business right now, so I can't be there with my kids. It doesn't have to be like one or the other. That's like a very big theme for my space that we do not choose. It's not this or that, it's both. Let's find out how. And to answer your question of what usually comes up when I'm coaching clients who are mothers is, I don't have enough time. I can't take out time to work on my business. I can't create a fancy funnel. I don't have the time to post consistently, right? And it's difficult to take calls. So if they're taking call based, like they're creating these structures for their offers, which are just not supportive to hold the season of life that they're in, they'll be like, I can't get on calls because my child might need me, and I will have to cut the call and will have to soothe my baby. And like, then why do you have a structure in your offer which has you on calls twice every single day? Why are you taking discovery calls if that's not what is aligned for you in this time of your life? So these are the kind of conversations we usually go for. And then there's a lot of apologizing. I'm sorry I couldn't do this because my child got sick. I'm sorry I couldn't do this because my relatives came over and then we just went out because the children were there. Like, you don't have to be sorry about it. It's a part of your life. So there's a lot of permission giving that has to happen in the like a permission slip that I'm like, it's okay. There's no apology needed for this. So this is something that usually comes up.
Yes, and that's exactly like the Sovereign Mamas podcast, and this movement around this is about including the messiness in your brand. And when we talk about excuse me, when we talk about personal brands, and mainly the audience is here, they are coaches, they are healers, they are in that space of them being the forefront of their business, right? So hiding any aspects or adjusting the polished version on social media just so that it fits, like it doesn't make sense. Like it needs to come through that this is how businesses get run. Like the other day I did a live stream, and I think my little one came 2 or 3 times, walking through the image, asking me a question, needing a bottle or something. And so what? Like I'm really a believe truly in people want to see people, and also how you handle those situations, how you react when a perfectly, even if you designed it perfectly, but then chaos happens, life happens. The way you are responding, that is what matters, and not that you delivered spot on all your, the all the lines that you thought beforehand. And so, yes, I love that you do that, and I love that you are supporting moms. And when it comes to your own vision, you I don't know, you don't have to tell me your age, but you do look young still. But do you see yourself also then embarking on the motherhood journey? Because nowadays it's not a given that women choose that, especially when they're career focused.
Yes, that is a very good question. Right now, I think so. I can tell you how old I am at the age, at the point of recording this podcast. I'm 23. I'm gonna be 24 soon.
Mhm.
And at this point, I feel like I have a lot of stuff that I need to sort out before I pass it down. That is
Yes.
what I think of, because I was like, okay, money patterns, business patterns, relationship patterns that I have inherited, generational patterns, lineage, all of that things that I need to work on. It's not even from like the business or the career aspect right now. It's that I don't want to create another person who
Mm.
would inherit those patterns epigenetically that I have not worked upon, and the patterns that haven't been broken yet. I know that it's always like a work that will continue to go on, and it's not like you can heal yourself totally before you can do something, but at this stage, it's like, oh, there's a lot of stuff coming up and I need to work on it. But I love that you mentioned that during your live streams, like kids coming over, because that's what happens with my clients most of the time. My clients would have their kids come over while we are doing coaching calls, and they would just sit there and listen to whatever I'm saying. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then know my name. They'll be asking about me to their mothers. And there's just a very nice feeling that I even like when I went to visit a couple of my clients, I took some gifts for their kids. And it felt like I belong in the family. Like people know me in the group. It's like, oh, can I talk to her? When will you get on call with her next? And it's like, you have a coach who can understand that. That is more important than someone who's telling you to be strict and professional and, no call interrupting and everything. Because that is not how children understand things and how you are supposed to monitor them, because that's just like gonna push them away from you. And another thing about you said being polished. I had a client who was a mom and she was a coach for moms. And then on her Instagram, I saw everything so perfect. Like everything was Canva graphics created, even story slides. Every story had some Canva editing going on. And I'm like, and she kept asking me, why am I not getting clients? What's going on? And I'm like, so your ideal clients are moms. And then they look at you as, wow, you're so inspirational. You have it all together. You are so organized. And they can't even relate to you. They see you here on a pedestal, like you're so inspiring, but not as you can help me. And that's the distance she was creating. So I had to force her to become messy, to show up without her Canva subscription, to create those posts where she's just cooking. And even though her kitchen is not as aesthetic, it's okay, just share that. So those are the parts that are really related and need to be shown for your audience to connect with you.
Hmm. Tell me a little bit about your journey when you say you're breaking all the rules and it's very different from where you come from. And so who was your inspiration? What was your North Star?
So I come from India. And I guess the moment I say that, people who know about India would already know what I mean. But it's where I come from, this part of India where there's a lot of patriarchy. There's still men go work, women sit at home type of cycle. And I was born in the city, but my parents, they lived in the village before. So in like a very rural suburban area, they used to live there. And my dad moved out from there, and that's when I was born. So I have been a city girl, but I have also had those village roots of seeing women eat after men, not eating on the same table, not speaking in front of them, not showing their face in front of men. I'm going to say that, like, they just cover their face with like this cloth and they're just moving through it and doing all of it. And wearing traditional clothes, not at all wearing. Opening hair is a big deal. Like, this is itself is like me breaking a rule here. So all of these things, like dressing up, putting on makeup properly, wearing bright clothes, all of these are like little things that are not acceptable socially for the women there. You have to become very unappealing. You don't have to catch the male gaze and all of that. So that's how it's grown. You just bear children as many as you can and just keep going, going, going. That's the kind of place they come from. But then I was still distant from that because I was born in the city and my parents lived in the city, apart from this big family. But then there was still this aspect of, oh, you only go to study, you won't go out of the house. There's like the rules, don't go out to play after a certain like time. You're not gonna go out. There's curfew timings and everything. I know they're trying to protect me, but then it just kept growing, growing, growing to the point that they're making the decisions of, oh, this is what you study, this is what you don't study. Women don't pursue these fields. And in Asian cultures, there is this expectation, doctor, lawyer, engineer, you have to become one of these reputed things. So I didn't want to. And I was like, I want to be a counselor. I want to do psychology. I wasn't allowed to, so I just did business. And even for that, the college that I would have gone to, I would have been like in a all girls college. So you don't study in like men and women don't study together. That was what they were planning for. But I ended up getting like a scholarship in an educational institute, which was away from the house, which is another big thing. You don't go away from the house. You're supposed to live with us throughout, so that we can monitor you. We can make sure you're safe. You're not engaging in any negative things, which includes relationships, by the way. No relationships, no intimacy, no alcohol, no drugs, and all of those things. I'm okay with all of that, but it's just like a lot of like
Mm.
someone is holding you by the neck. So I ended up getting the scholarship, and I somehow manifested, kept visualizing that my parents are agreeing and I'm going there. So I ended up going to a different state to study and be like all by myself, stay in a hostel, college hostel, dorm rooms, and everything, and then maintain my scholarship. And that's when I started my business. So I started the university in 2019, and then the pandemic happened and I had to come back to home. So I was like, oh God, that freedom is gone. But then I started this business and it took up. In 4 months. I was already making a lot of money. And the whole idea, my inspiration was to break free from this, because they were in Indian cultures, it's the idea that the parents pay for your university fees. So they pay the money. You don't pay it yourself by working part-time jobs. That's not the idea there. And then because I had a scholarship, they are paying less money. So that feeling of if I lose the scholarship, I will become a burden on my family, and my family will have to pay more money, and I have to listen to it. I'll have to listen to my parents saying, oh, you didn't maintain your scholarship, you don't study, you do this, you do that, and all of those things. So it felt like if I could make enough money and pay my university fee all by myself without the scholarship, even, I could do whatever I want. So money was like that freedom way out, because I was very co-curricular person. I was part of every group. I was like doing everything in my university, but then I left everything because I was worried about losing the scholarship. And then even though I manifested the scholarship, I had this professor say to me, "It feels like the scholarship is like a burden than a manifestation." I was like, "Oh, what if I could make so much money that I don't have to rely on anyone?" So that's why I started a business. Even though that was not my first idea, I thought first I'll take as many jobs as possible. I'll do as many internships as possible online, remote, because that's what picked up at that point. And I was very happy because my parents would have never agreed to me doing a job for money. It's time for you to study. You're not supposed to make money. You should not focus on this right now. And that keeps like a trap. You don't make money. You don't get independent. You keep relying on your parents for money. You don't feel free, and just keeps going, going, going. So I could do everything online. I did like a lot of tiny editing, proofreading jobs and everything, making pennies. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, a job just landed on LinkedIn for me. Like someone texted me, "Hey, we saw you. You are great. Let's hire you for 3 month project. And how much do you charge?" And I was like, "How much do I charge? I don't know." And I quoted I'm searching on Google, what is an average freelance writer salary for this type of work? And there's like, okay, this much amount. I was like, okay, I quote them. They're like, we're gonna pay you double for the 3 months. You need to work with us. And I was like, wow, money, I can manifest it. But when I worked with them, I realized I like doing my own thing more. And that is when I started my business. And in 4 months, I had this big goal for myself for the year of 2020, before I knew everything that was going to happen, that I'm going to make this much amount of money. I didn't make that much amount of money, but I did pay my own university fee. I graduated maintaining the scholarship. I topped my class. I had business. I went full time in business after my degree. So it all worked out. And that was my inspiration. It's like, I am not going to rely on people, but then get controlled by them because of the financial bit. So that's how it happened.
Wow, what a story. Really, really impressive and inspiring, amazing. And it comes to show again how important a why is, and that this is like so, yes, maybe even it's a blessing for you in your case that you could take and or take what was serving you throughout your childhood years and your family and look back now and say, thanks to my parents, I got pushed into a lane that I would have probably never chosen, right? So
100%, because all my life I've said, oh, business is just not my thing. I am not creative enough. I have a book published of poetries, but I'm saying, oh, I'm not creative enough to do my own thing. It requires a lot of effort. And I had this idea that business, because I was in this business university, business school, and the idea of a business is a startup. Startup is technical. You have to have an app. You have to have something revolutionary like flying cars, and that is when you have a business. But I didn't resonate with all of that. I don't have the tech skills. I don't have the creative skills, which I was lying to myself. And I don't have the dedication to run a business and be my own boss, which again was a big lie that I told myself because I was like the most hardworking person. Like I'm studying all the time, I'm on top of my assignments, everything is submitted early, but I still didn't see myself as like I needed to be told. I was a perfect product of the education system, where it's like, you tell me what to do and I will get it done. And I would follow all the rules. But entrepreneurship requires you to break those rules. It requires you to think differently. And that is what I thought I was not capable of. So, all of these things, yes, you're right, pushed me into finding something that I love so much that I can't imagine what my life would be like if it wasn't happening.
how are your parents today? How are they? Are they supportive?
My mom is super supportive with this. Like, she's always been in the beginning, she wasn't that. She's like, make sure you're studying, make sure you're getting good grades. She just wanted me to pass out with like a decent grades to get a job, but she's great. My dad has come around to it, and because I moved from India to Australia to do my master's in counseling, I finally was like, freedom because I had the money. I'm gonna go and do whatever I want. So I convinced, manifested that, and since I'm living in Australia. As an international student, I see all the other international students doing part-time jobs, not having time for themselves, is like always drained out, not even having the money to buy themselves something nice. I don't have to step out of my house. I am here doing like a podcast interview on like a Wednesday without having to like I wake up, do my own morning routine for 3, 4 hours, and I get that space to do that. So now he recognizes that I'm able to sustain myself in a different country where the currency value is not great. So what I make in India is very less what you would make in Australia. And I'm still able to sustain myself and do pretty well. So he's come around to it that I'm never asking him for money. What's going on? Do you not need something to spend on? Are you able to make your rent? I'm like, yeah, everything's great. So
Wow. So good, so good. If you have one big, like last message to for the listeners, what is your dream? What is your dream for the world, for women here on this planet? Maybe your generation or even older generations um, in this lifetime. What would you like to see?
I would definitely like to say that at like all of this that I narrated right now, there is a version of me, this 14 years old, 15 years old, that never believed it was possible, never thought. She was to the point that she just didn't want to live anymore. That is how she felt because everything seemed like there's no way getting out of the system. It's possible. You can do this. You don't realize it. So please start surrounding yourself howsoever you want. You don't have the money, it's okay. Podcasts are free. Books you can read online. There's some way to do it, right? Just get yourself surrounded with people. Just watch people's Instagram content. That is what I used to do with a lot of coaches that I work with now. I used to dream, like, I'm like, oh, that much money, I can never afford that. I would gulp down every single caption, every single story, live stream. I would write notes from I have a little notion board where I have notes from podcast episodes. That's how dedicated I was to learning and immersing myself in the reality I wanted to create for myself. So find yourself some people, follow them, and there's so many people now. There's so many people in different fields doing like women doing different things that you don't think is possible for you, but it is. And that is what I have like this is the tangible bit and the intangible bit, that you can do it, you think it's not possible, but it is. How do you make it possible for yourself? You immerse yourself in those people's energy field.
Absolutely, 100%. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your incredible story and your wisdom. And yes, for all you listeners out there, this was a big inspirational episode today. And I hope you took some notes and took away the parts that are now for you clicking and making you say, I get this, I got this, and I'm taking action. So thanks for coming on, Ashu, and thank you for listening. And I shall see you in the next episode. Thank you.